Hello, professor and classmate. Today we're going to do the first attack part 2. The abstract. In this assignment, I followed the designated video to gain access from my Kali machine into Kyoptrix 1 virtual machine, and that happened by using Samba 2.2.1a. I'll explain later on where that came from. I started by running my nmap command upon my IP address. Then I ran MS console. Then I got it to the MSF6 as shown in those two pictures. The next step, I use auxiliary. Then I press tab to scanner. Then I press tab to SMB. Then another tab to SMB version. Then I set the R host to the target IP address, which is 192.168.56.102. That's my host. That's my machine, the Kyoptrix machine. After setting the target, I print run and I press enter. Then the outcome was able to determine the version of the Samba, and I Googled it. This was the outcome of the Google, and it was version 10, as you can see. I didn't download it. I just clicked on the bracket to do it online. This is the source code that I got. I selected a little portion of it. I highlighted it. Then I pressed Control A, then Control C. So I copied it. Then I ahead and divided my screen horizontally. Then I pasted it, and I ran vi.10.c, which is the version of it. After pasting the code, I ran the gcc 10.c minus O10 for the operation. After the outcome, the previous command, I decided to run period /10, that's the root, B for the platform, 0 for the operation system. Then I put the IP address of the target. Then I chose B for the platform, 0 for the Linux, and the IP address of the target as explained. Final step, gaining access. I went to the Kyoptrix. I put my last name. Then I put a password. First it didn't work, then it worked. Now I'm getting into the mitigation strategy and techniques, and I'll go through the steps that was required in the assignment. Protecting system in a process that includes multiple steps such as regular scanning, running high-level security solution that scans all items of the infrastructure looking for possible vulnerabilities that might compromise the system and pose a threat or possible risk. Also, staying on top of the patches and updates is a must when it comes to system readiness and security. So proper user privilege and access authority given the exact access authorization for users that matches their positions and need, nothing extra. Implement the least privilege plan. That means the user can access only what he needs. Invest in user knowledge and enhance security awareness. Hence, the user is the weakest link in the security chain because continuously training leads to better results and outcomes to develop healthy security habits. We always should invest in our employees and educate them more to avoid any unintentional mistakes. Enable IAM, Identity Access Management, to ensure security and monitor accounts and behavior and report any suspicious activities. Limit the full access to the lowest possible and monitor these accounts for unintentional mistake that can lead to catastrophic consequences. Announce a strict security policy and ban employees from bring your own devices or disclose any information or account credential information to non-employed person, and ban accessing emails or business emails from personal computers. This is a big no-no. Enforce multi-factor authentication and strong password patterns that change every 90 days, and that will protect system and possible malicious attack and any possible SQL. Buffer flow. It is one of the most common security vulnerabilities that can be used by attackers to gain unauthorized access to systems. The attackers take advantage of that coding error to exploit system. Hence, overflows can happen in multiple ways and various reasons. That coding error allows the attacker to override the execution path into the attacker's favor. And this is how he compromised the system. There are two types of buffer flow attacks: stack-based and heap-based. The stack base is most common attack, which mainly depends on the overflown buffer on the call stack, while the heap base attack targets the data and the open memory. Privilege escalation. This is a network attack that attackers find a weak point or a possible vulnerability that they can make it their first penetration point so they can get an access they need into the system. From there, they will start escalating their privileges to access more information to get more sensitive information in possession. And the attacker will depend on multiple vectors to perform escalation, such as social engineering with all the vectors that they have, misconfiguration of ports or firewalls, password exposure and login credential exploitation, and many more. There are horizontal and vertical privilege escalation. These are the two main types of privilege escalation. Horizontal means the attacker takes over another account and another account and another account and use it to expand his control base. While the vertical escalation means the attacker will keep working on the same account to get more permission. Rootkit. The rootkit is a malicious software that is designed to gain unauthorized access to a network system or a computer or any type of software. A rootkit is a clandestine computer program designed to provide continued privileged access to computer while actively hiding its presence. There are multiple types of rootkit, includes bootkits, firmware rootkits, and memory rootkits. These software, when installed on a system, they provide the attacker with a lot of tools and weapons and abilities, allowing him to penetrate into the system, and this most important thing, to remain undetected to the stage that is very difficult to get rid of him or get him removed from the system. Each type of those rootkit depends on a file characteristics that supports it. So firmware rootkits mainly depend on the system firmware, while bootkits mainly depend on the master boot record or files within the bootable hard drive that have the OS on it, the operation system. And memory rootkits can load into computer's memory from the RAM, the random access. Trojan horse virus is a self-explanatory malware or virus that is matching the story of Troy. The malicious soldiers are hiding into the good gift, which was the horse. In simpler words, malicious software is embedded with good software that you will install on your system with good intention. Then soon after the virus get embedded into your system, it will start gaining access into your sensitive data and will send the attacker your entire system get compromised, and he will get your personal credential, login credentials, and personal information. There are multiple types of Trojan viruses, such as backdoor Trojan, the fake antivirus Trojan, remote access Trojan, and the exploit Trojan. The backdoor, in general life, there is a term backdoor refers to the hidden door at the back that is easy to access without being seen. In cybersecurity, this terminology is similar to the actual life, which is a gate or any method of access that can be granted to authorized and non-authorized user. In simpler words, they can get around the security measures or preparation that we have to gain high level of access, or it is known as root access. Having this type of access will enable the attacker or the unauthorized user or the system operator to get to the top of the pyramid of sensitive data. Backdoor can result to possible malware that have been embedded by an attacker, or it is built there by the software developer for a certain purpose. A Trojan can be classified as a backdoor, as I presented in the previous slide. Virus is a malicious software that is designed or coded to travel and transfer between devices, from a computer to another, or from a cell phone to another computer, and so on. So this self-copying software can duplicate itself and spread into the system in order to damage the device or send data to attackers in order to gain unauthorized access into your system. Some viruses are programmed to damage the computer components as hardware, such as attacking the BIOS, the basic input-output system, and cut the power on the CPU fans that lead to CPU overheating, and that will indeed fry the motherboard or the CPU itself. Some of them are designated or designed to damage the software of the system by deleting files or deleting important files such as operating system files or hiding operating files from the hard drives. Some of them can duplicate and copy themselves into massive amount of files to flood the network with traffic, and that will slow down the system and make it impossible to perform any type of activity. There are multiple examples of viruses such as worm, Trojan, ransomware, and many other types that are similar in goals and intent. Return-oriented program. This was the most difficult one for me since it's not from my IRA, but it's also known as the ROP. It is a technique that usually used to exploit any possible security vulnerabilities that happen as a result of memory corruption or memory malfunction. This technique is no longer common and widely used because of the huge development and other exploit technologies and systems that were developed against it to mitigate the risk of exploitation. The good thing to be mentioned that the ROP is an advanced version of stack smashing that is mainly dependent on the bug in the program, and that bug will be later used to redirect the control flow back to the attacker and send them useful and sensitive information. Last slide will be common social engineering attack, which are phishing, honey trap, and pretexting. Phishing is one of the most social engineering attacks that are mainly known for aim to obtain personal data and credentials such as name, address, social security, phone numbers, and so on. Honey trap is that attack when the attacker pretends to be emotionally or sexually interested into the target of the attack and lures them into virtual relationship. Then the attacker will gradually ask the victim for personal information or credential or record improper images or videos to use them later on to ask for a huge amount of money as a ransomware to keep them off the web. Pretexting, it is a preset social engineering attack by fabricating a case or a scenario that they can use to obtain somebody's personal information or credential by sending a scam asking for specific information to confirm identity, and it will trigger as soon as the victim complies with their information or request, and this is exactly what is known as identity theft. And finally, I would like to say thank you for the professor and other classmates, and here's my reference page. Thank you, and you have a wonderful night.